we will be learning about mathematics and pattern. So pattern forms an important part of mathematics, and we will be learning how patterns are important in case of algebra. So first we have taken a pattern, so this one. From here we can see that we need 8 lines to draw this pattern. So now if we add, another of the same pattern here, so we'll see that for the first pattern we are using 8 lines, and for second pattern we are using 7 more lines. So we are getting the total number of lines we are getting is 15. So now if we continue this pattern and use a third, so when we put the third pattern here, so what we see is that the total number of lines now becomes 22. So we have added 7 more lines to the previous pattern that we had. So similarly, if we continue with this adding the fourth figure, so adding the fourth figure, we are getting the number of lines we are getting is 29. So now what are we getting from this pattern? If we follow how this pattern is progressing, and if we need to find out a pattern where there are 20 such shapes that are present. So in that case we have to find a formula, the pattern for 20 such figures put together. So how many lines that we can find. So in such a case we will be following, if we are finding from the same pattern, if we are continuing and try to find a pattern for 20 consequent figures, so what we will see is that there are, in order to find that, it is easier if we can find that algebraic formula from there. So the algebraic formula that is progressing from the previous patterns can be summed up as 8 plus 7 into n minus 1. So from this formula, if we put value from each of this figure, right, like for this one, if we put a value for 1 at n, we'll get a value 8. So the number of lines present in the first figure is 8. So now if we put n equals to 2, we'll get a value for the number of lines in this particular figure. So it will be 8 plus 7 into inside bracket 2 minus 1, so that will give me 15. So like this, if we progress, we will see that for each value of n we put here, we will be getting the number of lines that we have used to form this whole pattern. So in case of 20, we can do the same thing. We can put the value 20 here, and if we calculate for it, we will get the total number of lines present here is 141. So if we did not have this pattern, if we would not have used this algebraic formula here, calculating for this whole pattern could have been much more difficult. But because of algebra, we can simplify this whole calculation into one specific formula. Thank you.